Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of LFC's Transfer Room. It's a Saturday night club, and I'm joined with a very good friend of mine, Kev. It's been a while since we've been on stream, but not too long since we last saw each other in person, which is always nice. How have you been?
I've been well, mate. It's been a while since I've been on. I do apologise. It's just the way things are. It's easy for me to get on midweek than it is at the weekend. You see, so apologies. It's been so long, but always good to be on with you.
Yes, and we have actually got West here. He's just put in the chat that he is here. I didn't see him, and I was like, "Oh yeah, he's late." It's my fault actually, because I did say that we would be going after the Newcastle match, and then Newcastle scored straight away. So I was like, let's not bother. But let's bring Weston and see how he is. How are you?
What's up, lads? How you guys doing?
Very well.
All
How
good,
are
mate.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. I wasn't late. I first came to the studio to the link, and then I saw no one, so I waited for everyone to come, and then I came back to the link again, and I found you guys started with me.
No,
Started without me.
that's fine. No, it's fine. It's like I said, it was my fault because I did say that we'd probably go after the Newcastle game. And like I said, then they scored straight away. So it's like, let's not bother watching it then. I thought Birmingham might have a cup set in them, but they did look a little bit out of legs. Talking about cup sets, let's hope there's not one tomorrow for Liverpool's Reds. We are going to dive straight into it. It is the match preview show, and Liverpool obviously have a very big game against Plymouth Argyle tomorrow. We're expecting quite a lot of squad rotation, but let's start, I suppose, with the goalkeeper in the back line, Kev. Are you expecting a Kelleher masterclass between the sticks, or are you expecting Alisson to retain his place? What do you think?
I don't know. I think midweek kind of caught me out in a bit. I thought he may have started Ali midweek and then rested him for this game. So I've got a feeling he may go with Ali tomorrow just to get his match fitness ready for Wednesday for the big game. So I'm hinging towards Ali, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm absolutely wrong in that sense. And it could be Jaros. Who knows? It could be anyone.
It could. It literally could, couldn't it? It genuinely could. I think you make a really good count for all of them. To be fair, I don't. It was a weird one, Kelleher in the week, but I suppose it is what it is, and it looks like again, I don't know. I can't.
No, the problem is if we look at it, and Kelleher was always our goalkeeper in the cups, so naturally we would always have that instinct of it will always be Kelleher. I think Ali was brought back, which I was made right by Slot during the week. In fact, where he says that for the Tottenham game, it was to bring Ali in for that game at the White Hart Lane, which I totally understood. Last night, Thursday, kind of took me out. But then, if you look at it, Slot, I don't know. This is the first time we're going to see what's happening, because there's a big game midweek, and I'd expect he would probably start those who never started and a bit of the bench to naturally get a bit of game memento in that game. So, but then part of me is thinking, well, it's Plymouth. It's an easy shot. Do you go with Jaros as well? Because, you could give him and leave Kelleher on there. It's too many options. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I reckon West should be able to tell us. Anyway, he'll be able to tell us definitively.
Come West, who's in between the sticks?
Like, I agree with Kev when he said, like, I was also shocked with Kelleher started, because I thought Kelleher was gonna play the game at White Hart Lane. So I was shocked with Alisson started that game, and then this game we had Kelleher inside. So I was a bit shocked where, like, maybe it was for Alisson to try and get him back to match fitness. So I think I think he will go with Kelleher again on Sunday tomorrow. To be honest, I think we'll go with him. I think he won't risk playing Jaros, because I haven't seen him play before. I won't see him play against Brighton, but then I'm not too comfortable with him on the goalpost. I'm not saying he's a bad keeper, but then, like, I care about comfortability. It's the same way for me to trust Kelleher. I wasn't too comfortable with him, and then he proved me wrong. So I don't want to take that risk again. So I think we'll go with Kelleher just to play it safe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you go with Kelleher, he didn't really have a game, did he, midweek? He was not really called upon that often, if at all, I suppose, just to play the ball at his feet. Spurs had 0 shots on target, so he wasn't exactly called into action. So, there's no need to rest him. I think he could probably do with a good run out anyway, by the sounds of it. I think Plymouth might have at least 1 shot on target. If they do, they go better than Spurs do in the week. Let's talk about the back line then. Now, Plymouth sit rock bottom of the Championship. They are 24th. The actual Plymouth attack line, they are struggling for goals as well. That doesn't necessarily mean, it's going to be one of those that, we can rest on our laurels at all. I really think Plymouth will be up for this game. However, we saw the Rolls-Royce Virgil van Dijk play an amazing game again. I can't see him playing. Obviously, then you've got your centre-back options of, I suppose, Konate, Gomez, etc. But again, it wouldn't even be a game for them. I'm expecting a Kwanzaa appearance, really. But, talking about the back line, really, and the fullbacks, Kev, who are you expecting to see start?
I'm expecting to see my mate, the Greek, at left-back. I'm expecting to see Kwanzaa, and I'll probably think Endo plays centre half with Kwanzaa, and then depending on the fitness of Trent, he'll probably go Bradley. If not, probably one of the youngsters that failed that I can't think of. But that's depending on Trent. Will depend if Bradley plays. If Bradley plays, then that's telling me that's an early indication to me that Trent is playing midweek. So that will be my back four, of which I expect Endo to be playing centre mid tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Endo's done a great job at centre back. I think him and Kwanzaa can certainly, I think they can certainly handle that. I suppose it might come down to the fitness of Ibu and Gomez, because you would expect Van Dijk to partner either one of them, because again, you'd probably have Bradley at right back if Trent's not fit. So you'd still expect to see Gomez, two of Gomez, Van Dijk and Konate. So maybe Kwanzaa and one of those two centre backs, but it could be again. It's a cup tie.
It's mad with Konate because I think he looked at the end of the game when I got back from the match that he kind of was hobbling a little bit at the very end of the game. I'm not too sure there's much into that, so that's why I've kept both of them out. I don't think it's. I don't think this is a game that you start risking your two dependable central defenders in a game that naturally we can do without exposing and limiting the risk of any kind of injury before the big game, as the derby will be on Wednesday.
West, with the derby then, thinking about the derby on Wednesday, it is a risk whoever you play, anyone's going to pick up an injury, but who would be your centre-back pairing? You're muted, mate.
For tomorrow's game, right?
For tomorrow's game, who'd be your centre-back pairing? Yeah, bearing in mind, obviously, we've got the derby on Wednesday.
I think I'll go with Kwanzaa, and of course, I'm gonna try and contradict with Kev, but I think maybe Gomez should get match fitness, because I feel like if Gomez doesn't play this Sunday, I don't see him wasting on the play in the next round of games. So I'd rather go with Gomez just to get fit up of games. So for me, since Gomez is back from training, I'd rather play Kwanzaa and Gomez, and since Morty is out of injury, I'll play Morty in the middle, Endo in the middle.
Yeah. Okay. The midfield is a massive one up for discussion, really, because whilst Liverpool are fairly light in midfield, you would expect a couple of youngsters to come through and dazzle us, as they always do, really, from that academy. So everybody at LFC Transfer Room loves James McConnell, loves the boy to bits, and I think he's impressed me so much every time that he played, including last season. I really am looking forward to seeing him play. I think he's got a very, very big future. So you might have a McConnell masterclass coming in. Do you think there's a start in the lineup for Trey, Kev, at all as well?
I do, and I actually think there'll be a start for RIO as well, Ngumba as well. I think his talent dazzled us at Anfield in the last round against Accrington Stanley. This is a little step up from them. I would personally wouldn't be armed to see him for at least half of the game. I'd go CHIESA. I expect Elliott, McConnell, and Trey NYONI as well in the middle of the park. Look, I think we're all delighted that we've got a young player in RIO who He's only 16. We've got to bear in mind how young he is. Do you know what I mean? And he looks great when he's on. He's not short of confidence. And I think this is a game where you want to see a bit of exuberance, and it's a chance to those that are going to take another look at the youngsters. It's great when it is like this, where we can play them and have the same kind of feeling that they will do as well as what our starting 11 would. So I'm very pleased to see as many as we can play tomorrow, and if it means that we go out, then so be it. But it gives these an opportunity, shows them an early indication of the level of where they need to be to, and and what it's like to play for the team, and it gives them a pathway, and this is a great way for the likes of them. Trey, I think, needs to play. And I've been impressed with him every time I see him play. McConnell, again, is growing on my eye. Even in the PSV game, we got beat, but he was one of the standouts for me. So it's perfect for those two. Would be my middle two, or maybe what Wes said, which is probably put Endo in there as well. So you got three of them in there. So, but there's play. The thing is, there's a plethora of options that we can use, even outside of the first 11, that we can. We're still arguing about who's going to play and where. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's great as well, because it gives gives our fringe players an opportunity, which we may need to call on them at some. We're in that point now, aren't we, at the season where the fringe players are going to have to start stepping up a bit more than what they would have done at the start of the season. So it gives them more game time, and it gives us more options then from the bench. So for me, it'll be Trey and McConnell and Endo in the midfield for me.
I read, actually, you talk about the fringe players needing to step up. I read that Liverpool now, until that Manchester City game, because of how far they've progressed in the cups, etc., and even though we've qualified without the playoffs in the Champions League, we actually have 2 games a week all the way up now until Manchester City. So it's an absolutely crucial time for these youngsters to step up, like we did this time last year when we saw the likes of Bobby Clark stepping up. I think that we have so many good youngsters. Like I say, McConnell was amazing last year. I think Bradley really came to fruition, as did Quansah last year. So we could find a couple of more gems really in this fixture pileup, shall we say. But it's a good thing, we're in every single competition still. It's good that we've got a fixture pileup, because it means we're doing something right. I get generally excited just as much to see the youngsters in a cup tie as what I would say if this is, say, I don't know, a Liverpool Spurs again, all over again. I was excited that night, but I love seeing the youngsters and I love seeing them come through. You mentioned Rio. He's really hit the ground running, and you can see he's absolutely been vindicated and justified with leaving Chelsea West. How impressed have you been? I know he's not played a lot in the first team. He's only had a couple of appearances, but through the under-23s, the 21s, the 18s, how much have you seen of him, and how impressed have you been?
I've been totally impressed. Like, personally, me, I'm really not a fan of like wonder kids or future perspectives. I'm not really a fan of them. I like ready made, but when it came to Rio and also McConnell, like they make me feel excited. Like they warmed up to me. I get excited watching them play. Like Rio against Arcot and Stanley, when you're taking them on, like I was excited. I was like, okay, this is promising. This is a real gem. McConnell against PSV, I actually enjoyed this game. I'm actually excited to watch him tomorrow play, but I want to see McConnell ball tomorrow. So like I find them quality good players, and I see them in the first team very soon, to be honest.
You mentioned Harvey Elliott, Kev, and there's an absolute player in there. We're not quite sure, I suppose, what's gone on and under Slot. Obviously, he was very unlucky with an injury. We've not seen as much as I think a lot of Liverpool fans would have expected. We would have expected to see Harvey Elliott more so than what we have. Dom Szoboszlai has been in good form, but I did think we'd see Elliott rotate a little bit more. A big game for him tomorrow.
Yeah. It's a big game for any of the fringe players. This is your chance. This is your opportunity to show why you should be in that starting 11 week in, week out. Unfortunately, we can't play all 23 players at once. We can only pick 11, and our starting 11 at the moment has got us in first place in both the league and the Champions League, and dominate and lead the League Cup again, and we're back at Wembley. that is down to the standards that are set at this ground at this club at the moment, and you've got to be able, when you get that opportunity, to step up and play. It's a shame for Elliot, because I think he could have done a similar job to what Sloboslai has done, but the energy that Sloboslai brings to this team is kind of like the standout point for me, and how dominant he has been this season. And it's about time he stepped up. He now needs to start putting goals in as well. But I'm quite happy with Elliot. I think Elliot has got that kind of exuberance that even if he was asked to play in goal tomorrow, he'll do it and give it his 100%. And I expected that kind of mentality from him, because that's the kind of attitude he has. And it's great to see. He has such enthusiasm when he does play. And, this is an opportunity again to show, Slot what he can do and what he can bring. I think this game's set up for him. I think he'll be very creative tomorrow. They will probably be playing in a low block and counter-attacking us, especially with some. I think they've got a few people on the wings that have got a bit of pace. So there will be a bit of counter-attacking. But against these type of teams, Harvey Elliott should be shining and blossoming. And I expect him to, at least assist and score tomorrow.
Yeah, and it is such a big game because, as you say, it's. They are 24th in the Championship. It is a game where you would expect the likes of Harvey Elliott to actually do something in terms of, his output, his goal assist output. Szoboszlai's getting there. He's getting a bit better now in terms of that as well, West. But I suppose, the question marks over Elliott is he's great for 30 minutes and he has real purple patches in Liverpool shirt. Unfortunately, he's just never got going as a regular starter. So it is an important game for him. I think another important, game is one for Endo. Whether he plays at centre-back or in centre-mid, I can certainly see him starting because, I can't see him being sat on the bench for it. Again, I think, I personally think he's brilliant. He's an absolute warrior. He's an absolute squad player, which is what he is. And you need players like that in your team, happy to sit on the bench and then come in and do a brilliant job. I'll always be a fan of his. He's almost not quite yet, but he could be cult hero status. So West, he's gone. Kev, talk about Endo for a little bit.
Wow, I'll be honest. If we go back to when we were signing him, I don't think many people would have were happy. It was absolute upheaval. But what you got to love is, and I think a stereotype to people from the Asian game. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but there comes a bit of a stereotype of easy to push off the ball, lightweight, not really good. But if you look at what Endo brings, oh my God, he's fierce. For his stature, he loves getting in with the tackle, and he is so disciplined and so resolute and so willing to do whatever he can for the team. It didn't start well for him, but like with anyone, you give them a run of games, and after a while he settled down. He's grown into it, and for me personally, I'm made up for him. I'm made up for him. I thought he would have been gone at some point this season, but he's actually stepped up, and he's actually shown Slot that he can actually be utilised in this team at certain points in the game, and he is being utilised a little bit more. Yeah, it's not a regular on a regular basis, but when we need to have a bit of game management and see the game out, he's like our James Milner at the minute, where he just comes in, steps in, and just steadies the ship if we need to. And it's good to have those kind of, as you quite rightly say, it's good to have a squad player like that who's willing to knows what the duties are and know what's expected of them, and sets a standard as well, that when he comes in, that the level isn't as low as of a bar from where it is when we have our star players playing. But it's great for him, and long be the case for how long he's here. I think he will have that cult kind of fellowship along with other players down the years that we all have. But no, he's a quality player, and it's great that we've got a player like that, and at the age as well, he's still running around with that kind of, he's got some set of lungs on him there, lads. Got a proper boss engine under the bonnet.
Yeah, he has. No, he really has. And he does remind me of Milner, those cameo appearances coming on. Especially under Slot as well, you feel a lot calmer, because in those last 15 minutes, if you bring Endo on, I'm normally calling for Endo to come on. and that's how far he's come. Is because you want that calming presence. He is fierce. He's a terrier. He wears a gum shield because he's that intense. He bites down too much. He grinds his jaw, and like that gum shield protects it. So.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me in ice hockey, the role of an enforcer who's just on there just to bash everyone around, and that's what he is. Puts his gum shield in, away I go. Happy days.
Yeah. And he's always good for a booking. If you're into betting, he's always good to stick in for a booking as well if he's starting. So yeah, he's brilliant. I really do like Endo. I hope that he plays and he plays well tomorrow. Do you see, Wes, then any of the likes of a McAllister or as a Bosley or a Gravenberg? Please no Gravenberg. Please no more Gravenberg on his slot. But he could very well do. He plays every game, and I love the man, but I think he deserves a rest. But can you see any of the regular, I suppose, Curtis Jones? Curtis is up in there, up in the mix as well. Do you see any of the other more regular midfielders getting a game, or do you think no, it's a PSV game, let's leave them at home?
I might see McAllister, but then I might see Jones, McAllister, but then we're speaking on miles. We're not really not sure, but then I agree with you. I don't want to see Gravenberg there because I see what Arteta. I always compare the comparison with what Arteta did to Saka, not getting a replacement for him and running him to the ground. I want to happen to Gravenberg. Gravenberg has shown so much potential. Those from Ajax days. So I want to see Gravenberg there. But then I wouldn't be surprised if I see McAllister or maybe a Jones, to be honest. Yeah. That's the midfielder I wouldn't be surprised to see.
Yeah, it's good that we got the options. I personally would like to see the McConnells and the Treys and the Endos and certainly Harvey Elliott as well. But we'll see what he plays tomorrow. Let's talk about the front line then, because I am quite excited to see one Fede Chiesa. It's taken a while. We look like we are managing him very well. He looks like he's gone through that pre-season. And now we look as if, and I keep on saying look because you never quite know when he's in fits and starts. He's only played 280 minutes for Liverpool, and that's in the League Cup, the Champions League, the Premier League, and the FA Cup. So that's a total of 9 appearances. But again, they're very bit part appearances. He scored a goal, obviously, in the last round against Accrington Stanley, and he has 2 assists in 9 actual appearances for Liverpool. But again, that's 3. It's basically 3 goals or assists in 280 minutes. So it's not too bad, is it, Kevin? I've again, we don't expect. I personally didn't expect him to come in and be the Fede Chiesa of Euro 2020/21, whichever way you want to look at it. But he now starts to be building a bit of momentum. There's a couple of nutmegs there. He's got one hell of an engine. I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch when he played the 90 against PSV. And again, I'm fine with him then being out of the squad, although I did have a mini heart attack when I was like, where is he? Why is he not even on the bench? But again, I'm happy with his minutes being managed because then that is going to eventually lead to a more consistent Fede Chiesa that we see, who is, hopefully injury-free and hopefully banging in the goals and assists.
Absolutely. And it's credit to our medical staff. This new medical staff have found a solution to these niggling issues that we've had previously under Klopp. I'm not saying that was the actual full reason why things failed, but those niggling injuries at certain points in the season don't help. Now, what we've done with Chiesa, I'll be honest, I'll hold my hands up. I didn't see this working out at all. I thought the money was not worth it. I thought it was like an Arthur Melo kind of signing. We had money to spend and we had to spend it then. And I wasn't at all taken back by that. But how we've looked after him and how the medical team have looked after him when I've seen him play, even in those fit starts, there is some quality there, I have to admit, and that's pleasing me. By all accounts, he's meant to be unhappy, but every time I see him, he's got a smile on his face.
Oh yeah,
he's quite happy.
But yeah, I don't know where that's come from. To be fair, I think it's because
yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Italian journalists media trying to do what they're doing with Tonali and try and bring him back, because I think he'll be lost in Syria. I think for me, for the money we spent, if we get 80% of what Chiesa was before his ACL, my God, we've got a player on our hands, right? And what a player to have on the pitch. If Salah's not doing it, you bring Chiesa on in that kind of back to basically his best. That'll be an unbelievable sight. And to be honest, this is the game I expect him to play the full 90 minutes, and I expect another performance out of him. He's produced every time he's been on the pitch. Even in his first game, he had an assist. It's mad. But I quite like how we've done it. We've been we took him aside and we've let him be around the team, then take him out. And I think with a lot of fans, we don't like to see that because we think, oh, here we go, we've got another injury. We've got another Oxlade-Chamberlain on our hands here. You've got a quality player, and you've got to handle them with care. Handle with care. You've got that diamond again. He just needs a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. And once you do that, it's fine. But no, I'll be happy to see him tomorrow. My front three would be Rio on one side, Chiesa on the other, and I'd probably go. I would have went Dan's, but he's on loan.
Yeah, he's gone.
And I would go Nunez.
I think I'd go. We'll go through the middle, but
Jota even.
Yeah, I think I'll go 45 for both. You're playing one off, you're playing the other. That's it. Whoever plays the best, you get the nod against Everton. Put a real challenge in for him as well. Make it tasty for them both. Talking about Chiesa, he just going back very quickly. I got his Serie A stats up, and he played 235 games in Serie A, and he registered 47 goals and 43 assists, which is 100 goals and assists in 235 games. So again, he's it's not bad, and actually he scored and assisted more playing for Fiorentina than he did the powerhouse Juventus. So again, there is that quality there. You'd almost say, well, he played for Juventus and he got like most of them there. He didn't. He actually got most of them in Fiorentina. So so really, really good player there, and hopefully we see him. West, Kev's already said he would have on the other side. He's gone for Rio. Are you going with that, or are you expecting maybe not one of the regulars? Gakpo really has been playing on that left-hand side. Does that then lend itself to Diaz perhaps starting, or do you think that Rio starts?
I agree with Kev, but then I also look at what you said right now. Like, Diaz didn't play the full 90 minutes, didn't play much in the Tottenham game. So I'm sure we'll try to get him up to speed. But personally, I would love to go with Rio, like just some young blood, like some youth players, give them some chance. Like, let's see what they on. Let's judge them on these type of games. And let's not judge them on purple patches. So I think I'll go Rio, but I wouldn't be surprised if I see Chiesa in the starting line, to be honest. But then, for me, it's Rio.
Yeah, I think either way, I think Diaz and Rio probably swap over. I think Diaz might need some game time, but again, he's been playing in the 9 role very, very well. You might see him in the 9. It could be anything. And like I say, these cup teams, you never really know. Kev, again, you said Nunez or Jota. I thought Nunez had one of his best games against Spurs without him actually scoring. And yes, I know that people say that we want a 9 who scores. I don't want to compare him to Bobby Firmino because Bobby was extremely special. I think the only comparison that you can make is maybe that you say, well, Bobby didn't score and neither does Darwin, but Bobby was a completely different player. He was so much more aesthetic. Although, to be fair, again, Nunez pulled off a couple of tricks and flicks. I generally am a Nunez fan, and I'd really want to see him do well. I did think he had a very good game against Spurs, and I think with Nunez, he knows he played very, very well against Spurs. So therefore, I personally would start him because he is a momentum player, and you want him in momentum for Everton. I think if you take him straight out, I think his confidence just plummets.
Yeah. I'll be honest, Darwin Nunez reminds me of a Darwin Nunez. There's no reason to start mirroring him with anyone. He needs to. I think it's kind of sunk with him what is about to be in this team at the minute. And you've seen that. We've seen elements of it. He's assisting a little bit more. He's getting more. He's more hard working. Not saying that he should be scoring more goals, but again, that's part of your job. He's got to be hard work and getting back defensively. And as a number 9 in slot team, you've got to get back and help out when it's required. I thought he was great. I'll be honest. I think he could be. I think you could start him as a centre back the way he played against Spurs from those corners. I thought he was great, and it's great to have that dominant figure in the middle of the box instead of relying on your Virgils and your Ibus to deal with it. I think he's learning a little bit more. He got frustrated, as anyone would do, when Gakpo shot in the second half that hit the post, and he's
He
asking
should have
for
squared
it.
it, shouldn't he? He should have squared
Exactly.
it as well.
But I think 9 out of 10 of every fan would say that he would have missed it anyway. So, so you know what I mean? So, there is a bit of that about it. I'm not going to lie. It'll be in the back of everyone's head if that ball got played across. And we go, you're the form you're in and you're not shooting. So he was damned if he didn't, damned if he never. So for me, it's great. And I agree with you. He is a momentum player. And if you give him the first half of this game, give him to do that little chaoticness up front. He needs for me to be a bit more physical with the centre backs. I don't think he's that willing to get up and battle with them. But for me personally, I would be starting him tomorrow. I think he deserves to keep his place from Thursday night. And look, he's got every opportunity to score a hat-trick tomorrow. Absolutely, he does. At the same time, he could get 3 assists. He could get 1. You just don't know. And I think that element of the unknown with Darwin is still a kind of sore point with a few fans, because you don't know what you're going to get every week. But it comes down to consistency. And if you take him out this early, his confidence, I don't think, will go. And then what does that leave you for the Everton game? He leaves you with a man who's underconfident coming into a game up against Tarkowski, who's going to be pushing him around and bending into him and expect him to get a yellow card, which we all expect he will do. But if you give him a bit of momentum, builds his confidence, and he's scoring goals and he's setting people up, you then see a different Nunez. You see a more calmer one for me. So it benefits us to bring him on for the last 20 minutes against Everton. So give him the game time tomorrow. You let him start up front and make him the forefront, and let him blossom, which I hope he does.
Wacky Manderson might not say he's not very physical, but yes, I absolutely understand what you're saying, because he's massive, he's absolutely huge, and you see him defending. It's like he's more aggressive defending sometimes than he is attacking, isn't he? When we saw him in those corners, like he was brilliant, especially at the front post against Spurs. He was nodding everything away. Nothing was getting past him. And he seemed to be more aggressive as a defender than he did as an attacker. And you do want him to have a bit of niggle. And yes, he is good for a yellow, but I've never minded players getting yellow cards. It's the stupid yellow cards where he's lobbing the ball on the floor.
Yeah, well, you get that. The one against where he gets sent off against Palace proves the point. It is the point. He gets riled up too easy, and he plays with too much emotion at times. On that's kind of I think being diluted since he's been at the club. I think when he first started, it was all about emotion, and he thought that would get him through. Raw. But he's diluted that quite a lot, and I think this is now a different ask from him from what Klopp was asking. I think I think there is a possibility he can produce in a slot side, but he's got to start doing it, because I think by the end of this season we will know how ruthless Slot will be with him. Does he give him another year, or does he take or does he bring an alternative who he thinks can do a better job? That's down to the manager, and whatever he decides with that, I'm happy with. So if Darwin stays, I'm happy. If he goes, then it's sad to see, but it just wasn't to be. But he's got to prove himself. He's knuckled down a little bit more now. He didn't look as though he was settled with Klopp here, and I think he's getting a little bit more settled in now. I think it helps with the likes of the Brazilian lads, and the Argentinian lads as well, the likes of McAllister, Jota as well, who can speak Portuguese with him. It's kind of helps, but I hope it does come work out for him. At the end of the day, he's still got 3 years left, so whatever we lose, it won't be that much. But I would hate him to go anywhere else, but who knows?
Unless it's Saudi, maybe.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, even if he goes back to the Portuguese league, which I think he could well do, I'll be honest, I think at times the Premier League's too fast for him. And that sounds mad to say. I just don't think it's like Morientes. Morientes we thought was perfect, and he wasn't. He just wasn't suited for the Premier League style of play. Whereas you put him in La Liga or in the Portuguese league, a lot slower, a little bit more technical. He looks phenomenal, and he looked phenomenal when he was at Benfica. And if he, that's where I see his game going. He's more of a continental style player than 100-mile-an-hour play up front kind of player for me. That's me personally, though. So
I genuinely think Fernando Morientes, for me, was the biggest disappointing signing that Liverpool have ever made. Like, for me, when he came in, obviously Owen brought in Morientes, and I thought, you know what, like, we got one hell of a deal because Morientes is going to bang 20, 30 goals. And I was so excited to see the Real Madrid Morientes. And I was trying to rack my brain then. I don't think I've ever been as disappointed in a signing as I have Morientes, maybe Naby Keita, because I did watch a lot of him when he was at Leipzig, and I thought he was going to literally get the next Steven Gerrard. Who do you think? Does he fall into that category for you, Kev and Wes? Like, who do you reckon is the biggest disappointment in terms of a signing?
I'll let Wes go answer this so I can have a bit of time to think about it.
When it comes to Morientes, like I wasn't that time. I think I was born that time 2001, so I don't know much of him yet. I didn't know much of him. But
Yeah,
then Naby
Kevin and I
Keita,
showing our age, mate. That's all it is. Kevin and I showing our age. You've had the glory years. We've not had too many. Probably Naby. Probably just Naby.
yeah, for me,
Do you know what? I'd probably say you could throw Oxlade-Chamberlain in this as well. Up until his injury against Roma, he didn't come back the same player. And I think if he didn't have the injuries that he had, there is a question mark over his Liverpool career. Although he what happened to him against Roma, I wouldn't put on any player. I've seen some wonderful players at this club. The Wastes. For a while, but
I already know what you're going to say. I reckon I already know what you're going to say, but go on.
Go on. Let's see if you're right.
Well, I think your worst. I think the worst signing is El Hadji Diouf by a country mile, considering if you bring Anelka into the equation.
Yeah. You have him. You also have Esteban Cosme, who is probably one of the worst as well, along with Jimmy Carter when he came from Millwall. For me, the worst, the most disappointing sign, and that's, I think Yari Littman as well. I think Yari Littman didn't have much of a Liverpool career, although he there was times we saw the wonders of what Yari could do. I just didn't think I think it was too late in his career that he came to Liverpool. We were at the end of it. We were a team that were getting the end of careers of great players that had been. So it'll be Yari Littman for me. Or as we've discussed, but it's a shame how it can go like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's the same when we see these great players play. We only have to look back at Darwin's first game against Liverpool for Benfica, and I always talk about it. I get waxed lyrical because he looked phenomenal, but you look at the style and how he played for them in comparison to what he's bringing to us, and we see bits of it. We see little speckles of glitter around him when he does play, but it's not enough, and it needs to be more consistent when he comes to a club like us and the size of us. And that's no disrespect. I think if Nunez came 5-10 years earlier, I think we'd be made up with Nunez. I'll be honest. But the way the club has gone and how we've propelled ourselves to one of the biggest clubs in Europe, if not the world, you've now got a standard of style of play and the level that you need to come in at. And if you're not meeting those elements, then you don't stand a chance to stay and progress in your career. And that's sadly how ruthless it is. And unfortunately for Nunez, I think it's probably the wrong era that he's come to Liverpool.
Yeah, we need goal scorers, don't we? And we've got high expectations as well. Wes, you've had a while to think. Do you want to add to any of the suggestions that Kevin and I have very nostalgically mentioned?
Okay, you see the guys you guys mentioned. It wasn't in my time. Maybe it was I was born that time, but I don't know. But for me, the one that I was disappointed the most, I had two players. It was like three: Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Daniel Sturridge. I remember that season against with Suarez, like he lit the world up, and I expected him to kick on. And then when he had that big injury of his, he never became the same player. Same with Oxlade-Chamberlain. Naby Keita's run for me is different, but I don't think he should. I don't think Keita was a club player, to be honest. Keita was like a luxury player at Leipzig when I was watching, when I watched these clips. I didn't see Naby Keita as a club player. So now club player demands you to run a lot. Same as Thiago. Like they demand you to run to a club player. I think Naby Keita and Thiago might have well suited slot system compared to club. But then the biggest one
Yes,
of them
yeah,
all
good
for me
point.
is Oxlade-Chamberlain. The biggest one for me is Oxlade-Chamberlain because I remember that time I remember that season where he was just hitting rockets outside the box. I was like, I remember he even got an England call up for the Euros. I think it was a Euros tournament that year. I'm really not sure, but I remember he got a call up, and then when he tore his ACL, they had to take him out, and then he never became the same player again.
Yeah, he hit some bangers against City. I think City were probably glad to see the back of him. But yeah, he did hit some absolute bangers. There's some good honorary shout outs. I suppose Andre Voronin, although he never came with massive high expectations, he was still a bit of a disappointment. I never expected Voronin to be huge. I think for the money that we paid Andy Carroll as well, but I suppose as part of Torres going, we did get Suarez, but I think with the money that we paid, Andy Carroll cost more than Luis Suarez. I was expecting really big things from Andy Carroll. Didn't quite work for him. Benteke, okay, it's just forwards, isn't it? I think we hold forwards to a different regard, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'll throw Paul Konchesky in there, maybe, just to give some
England's
defenders
best England's best left back by Roy standards, and didn't pick him for the game for England. That shows you how much of an England player he was. Sean Dundee, another one.
I remember Sean Dundee. I was proper excited he scored a free kick once, I think, and yeah.
Crocodile shoes. I remember going to the pre-season game with Crew with my mates, and we were thinking, we're going to see some player there, because you read all these stories how well he'd done in Germany, and then it just didn't happen for him whatsoever. It's a shame, really. Then
Salif
the
Diao after the World Cup, Salif Diao as well.
Oh my God, don't. That's the worst thing about it, is you talk about that time at the World Cup, and we buy two useless players when we had a gem in Anelka at the club that we decided not to go for. And it's a shame, really, because what could have been with Anelka, but I think it didn't help with his entourage. I think that had something to do with it, and it's a shame, really. Do you know what I mean? I remember that time we were looking at Ronaldo as well, Cristiano Ronaldo, in the under-17s tournaments. Yeah. And I pointed them out. I highlighted them as a player that we were looking at, and next minute he signs for Old Toilet, and then we see what happens there. You know what I mean? It's it's this, but there's loads, though. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, though. But the joys of being a Liverpool fan,
Yeah, well, listen, to be fair, we've rattled off about 10 signings that we're disappointed in. Imagine if we had to, imagine if we said the ones we were happy with. Yeah. Michael Thomas as well. He cost us the league, and then we signed him thinking we're gonna we'll win the league, and he'll kick on now, and yeah, we got the back end of him as well.
Yeah, but his goal in the FA Cup final was quality against Sunderland. I have to admit, Dean Saunders, another one.
Yeah, I like Dino. I do like Dino, though. I've got a lot of time for him, to be fair. Yeah, he's a good lad. I tell you what, like I say, we'll be here all night with the signings that we are happy with, so we can't be too critical. And the only reason we got onto this is Fernando Morientes' fault anyway. While we've segued onto that, so we'll blame Fernando again for that little segue of 10 minutes. Let's go match predictions then for tomorrow. West, I'll start with you. What score prediction are you going for tomorrow? And if you want to name a goal scorer, obviously feel free to.
I'm going with a comfortable 3-0. Just a comfortable game. Just win and just leave. And then we focus on to the next. So CHIESA scores 1. Nunez, if he starts, and maybe I hope RIO to score. They will make me buzz and they'll go crazy.
Yeah, that's a good shout for RIO. I'd love to see RIO score. Kev?
I'll go 3-1. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet. And I would say CHIESA to score, or McConnell to score the first.
Nice.
How about yourself?
Well, I think you should definitely, if you're going to go McConnell to score the first, you should definitely get on one of the betting apps and back that, because that's going to be one hell of a boost, I think. 4-0. I'll go 4-0. And I do think Feddy scores if he starts, and especially if he plays for 90 minutes. I can see Plymouth tiring, much like Birmingham City did against Newcastle. I think that's the type of game it's going to be. It's going to be full-blooded for the first half hour. But I can see, the legs going. I think we have a good second half performance. And 4-0 with Feddy on the score sheet somewhere along the way. And, I'd like to see a couple of youngsters score and Darwin as well, just to be ready for that massive blockbuster game on Wednesday night, because we can't take too many risks with these players, fringe or not. Burton J has gone 4-1. So again, pretty solid. Yeah, pretty solid. And he also liked Patrick Berger as well. I quite like Patrick Berger. I had him on the green Carlsberg, Berger 15. Had his name on the back of that one, the green Carlsberg with the blue trim. That was quite a nice kit, actually, looking back. That was a good kit. Quickie saying,
Darwin
guys, don't think Darwin travelled. I haven't seen it, haven't seen Twitter. So if that is the case, thanks for that exclusive, really, Quickie, because I had no idea about that. Which just poses a couple of questions, really, doesn't it? Bit of an odd one.
It is. There may be an element of, well, you're starting against Everton midweek, and we go with a similar team that played against Tottenham. I don't know. It's a mad one. Changes everything then, doesn't it? We probably go with Jota up front, or we pick someone from the crowd to play tomorrow. I don't know. Get yourself down there, Rich. May get a game.
Yeah. I'll send that. I always have my boots in the boot just in case, So, I was just trying to have a look, actually, just to see if I could find anything on Twitter. I can't at the moment. So, but it might be one of those.
By all accounts, he saw the lads getting off the coach at the hotel down there. So, there we go.
Darwin's
who knows?
It's
not a big thing, is it? If he's not there, is it? But
Yeah, there you go. Look, I got told some were travelling private. I was going to say Darwin's just jetted it down. It's a long way, Liverpool to Plymouth. He's probably just got on a flight. He said, "Nah, I ain't getting on. Get off. I'm getting my own plane." So yeah, but thanks for that, Quickie. I hope you, if you are there for the game, I hope that you very much enjoy it. We winded down here, and there's over 4,000 of you joining us tonight. So thank you very much for spending your Saturday nights with us. If you haven't already, please do obviously give us a like and a subscribe as well. This is my favourite round. Kev, I don't think that you've been here for one of these, but this is called Any Other Business, and it doesn't have to be Liverpool related. It doesn't have to be football related. It could be anything that's on your mind throughout the week. I'll go first, so I'll give you two something to think about. And I've just started re-watching, and again, I don't watch a lot of TV, if I'm completely honest. I was going to go down the rugby angle because it was one hell of a win for England against France in the last minute. I watched the game and I was literally jumping out of my seat. I was going to go down that angle. But as I was having my tea, I was halfway through a series that I watched many years ago, and I was so disappointed at the end. And I've started rewatching it now, and I'm even more disappointed at the end because it's so good. Is Dexter. I don't know if you're fans of Dexter, if you've ever seen it. The first couple of series are they're brilliant. And I just come back to the idea of I'm yet to see that many TV series that are brilliant all the way through to have a phenomenal end, because Dexter sucked. It was so bad the first time. They went back and they did it again, like 10 years later. They went back and go, oh yeah, he's not dead, by the way. This is what we did with him. So they put him in another series, and that ending sucked as well. It sucked so much, Kev and West. They've now said they're going to do a prequel to it. Yeah. So my Any Other Business was Dexter was amazing, but also, are there any TV series out there that you've seen? And again, I don't watch a lot of them, where you've actually seen an end and you went, yeah, that was pretty sick. That was cool. What a great series.
Gomorrah.
Where's
Gomorrah for me. That is, it was on Sky Atlantic. So I don't know whether it's still on Sky or whether you'll be able to see it. It's based in Napoli. It's based in Naples. And it's about... It brings it's a bit like Sopranos, but it brings it back down to the raw social element of it from in Italy, where there's nothing for these kids but to sell drugs and to be part of gangs. And it's the culture and how you're brought up. It's very hard. It hits from the first episode on. It's got subtitles. It's worth watching, and if you do get an opportunity to watch it, it's absolutely amazing, and I fully recommend it. It's unbelievable. And I watch it as I've cried twice at certain points. The end of series 2 was probably the most hard hitting I've ever seen a TV series hit with. I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but it's absolutely devastating, and it's ruthless, and it's brutal, and it's very dark as well. And and even the music to it is amazing, and it sets it up. It's great, and a family and how a child is trying to gain his dad's love, and his dad doesn't have any use for him whatsoever. It's mad. It hits on so many levels. It's worth a watch. You know what I mean? So that's mine.
Yeah, I've just no. I've just Googled it, and I'll just try and get it on Just Watch for everyone else who wants to have a look as well, and I'll see what it's on. But the one I suppose that everyone says about is Game of Thrones, don't they? And it was a rushed ending. Like, yeah, it was, because they're supposed to do it over 2 seasons, and they ended up doing it over 1. But I still thought it was okay. I didn't think it was as bad as what everyone else said. I thought it was okay. I don't know if either of you two watched it, but you know, sometimes these things happen. But yeah, Dexter for me was just.
Well, it's a bit like Sopranos. I was devastated with the Sopranos ending.
Oh, well, yeah, see, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. Again, it's one of those I don't mind. I don't then. It's not like, oh my God, I have to, like, please say they're going to make another series. Like, it's not. I'm hoping that Stranger Things perhaps this year has that effect. It's going to be the last one for that.
I actually took the DVD out to see if it was scratched, because I actually thought I'd missed it.
That's how it ended,
that's how mad that ending was for me. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm like a village idiot looking, trying to see if there's anything on this DVD. This is how far back I've got. And, you know, but it's still a quality series all the way through. It's great. That gives you the romance in a way.
Yeah.
To it, whereas I think the hardcore of it is Gomorrah for me, and if you watch that, it's amazing, and I can't say enough about it. I thought The Wire was good. The one I haven't watched, which I want to do, is Ozark. I haven't watched that. I don't know if anyone's watched that. Narcos is good. But yeah, I love all drugs related. I don't know what that says about me as a person, and gangsters. But you know, it's.
I'm just glad that you said related. I'm just glad you said related after that sentence. I just love all drugs. If you guys do want to watch Gomorrah, it is still on Sky. It's on Sky Go. It's on something called Arrow, which I've not heard of, and Now TV as well. It's got 5 seasons on there, or you can buy it on Amazon. Or if you've got one of those magic sticks, I'm sure it's on there as well. Kev, what's your running for business?
I think what you know, although I'm not a fan of Newcastle, I think what a great week it is for them, you know, to reach something that you know I didn't think many would have thought they would have got to, and it's great. It's good to see that, you know, it's not the usual cronies, although it is us there, but you know, you've got another team that is there that haven't been or haven't won nothing since the 1950s, and it just shows to these other teams that are placed below the top 4 that anything's possible. Do you know what I mean? Don't be giving up on the League Cup, you know, or writing off as a Mickey Mouse Cup. That's my other business. I was actually looking forward to the to a quiz, to be honest. I thought you were going to do a quiz, Richie. You know,
well, people stopped coming on. I know people stopped coming on because I was doing the quizzes. So I can only pull it out every now and then.
I was fuming. I've even done my history. I've looked at the last game we played against the Plymouth. I thought, right, Sand, I've got this down to 3. No. Let me down. So my other business is poor, but I think another thing is, you know, no VAR for all the elements of why we hate it. I think the last 2 nights has actually seen why it's required, to be honest. And you know, and I do think there's an element that the linesmen are going back to something that feels a bit odd in a sense, in the fact that they usually don't have to do nothing. Whereas, and that's why they're starting to miss a few more than what they would normally do. Some people like it because it's back to the old school of retro way of, we discuss it in a boozer, but I just think it's a shame that we don't have anything like that in the cups. To be honest, sad.
I genuinely think they're now over reliant on VAR. Because there were 4 Manchester United players offside yesterday. He only had to flag for one. Because Maguire's right there. He's straight in his eye line. It's dreadful. And I'm still not convinced that Joe Willock's first goal for Newcastle was over the line either tonight. So it does just highlight, we moan about VAR, but boy, do we need it now.
It's crazy, isn't it? The irony in that sentence that you've just said.
I know. It is. Like, I do think they're now just over-reliant on it. But I mean, it was crazy. That call yesterday, if you're a Leicester fan, you're absolutely devastated. You're wounded today. And probably for the rest of the week, to be fair, as well, because they looked a better team. I know Manchester United looked better second half, but, to lose like that against one of your former player as well, nodding it in, it's not the nicest way to get out of a cup when you shouldn't have. But alas, that's the name of the game. With the Newcastle, bits, Kev, I do quite like Newcastle, like Howe. I like the way in which they play. I think that he is a good coach. What really baffled me, and I did say this because one of my best mates is actually a Newcastle season ticket holder. I've told you before, he has been in fact, since they last won a trophy in 2017 in the Championship. So that's when he's been a season ticket holder. We don't count it as a big honours, obviously. They were saying, some of my friends, Man United fans, so of course I wanted Spurs to win, but we wanted to see like a Tottenham Newcastle Cup final. And I didn't personally understand it. I said, I'm trying not to be biased, but why? Why would you want to see Spurs Newcastle?
I'll be honest, perversely, I did as well, in a way, because I think everyone's getting a bit bored and a bit tedious with seeing the usual suspects in the last 4 and in the final. I think what the elements of surprise, which is what sometimes this cup has done in League Cup in past, look at the previous games we've had with Cardiff, who've taken us to extra time in both games. It gives the ability that there is an opportunity to get here. I think since City started taking it a bit seriously, that has dwindled away, so much so that hardly anyone's going for it as a cup. Don't get me wrong, I have a love-hate with it completely. I hate the cups in the early rounds, but once it gets to semi-final and a final, I get happy and I go, wow, sound, I'm in all the way. And I think as a neutral, I think you don't want to see the likes of an Arsenal, a Liverpool, a Chelsea, a Man City, United. You want to see those teams that have hardly won it. Back in the day when Oxford United won it in '87, Luton winning the actual trophy as well. Back in the day, you had many of these, even in the FA Cup. Southampton doing it over United in the final in '78 or '79.
Wimbledon doing it over us.
Wimbledon against us. You know what I mean? So there's loads of times back in the day that this happened. That's totally been diluted too much now, and it's getting to a point where people are not watching it because of that. Because it's just Liverpool. It's Liverpool Arsenal, which everyone thought was going to happen. The fact that this makes it a bit exciting is that it's Newcastle, and it's refreshing that people will go, oh, they may go for it a bit more because. But then you look at in the past, at the time when we played them in the '74 FA Cup final, they had won more than us. They had 11 trophies to our 10. We are now in it where we've got 46 and they've got 10. That's how mad a couple of generations has happened, and still, as a stagnating team that hasn't been able to get to a final. This is why clubs in the lower leagues play, because that opportunity, that golden ticket to get to a semi-final at Wembley, to go or even win it. Say, I don't get me wrong, perversely, I'd like all the big sides to be out of it for one season or get knocked out, and just watch it and just see who actually makes it to the final. Perversely, That's what goes on in my head.
Yeah. No. As a football fan, that's what that is.
Yeah,
If Liverpool weren't in it, I suppose,
Exactly.
I suppose you would. And even was it when it went to penalties? It was Birmingham, wasn't it? Who we beat in the League Cup?
We played
Birmingham
Birmingham.
City.
But then you had the Wigan win against Man City in the 88th minute. That they're the kind of things that the fans want. So it's testament on Newcastle for actually daring to achieve something that everyone thinks is impossible to do, and took it a little bit more seriously.
They bossed Arsenal over 2 legs as well. They destroyed them for both legs. Arsenal deserved nothing from that.
To be honest, they've got their number at the minute, and they've got a template of how to play against Arsenal. So sorry, West, I've taken over here, mate. Sorry.
No problem.
Anyway, West, any of the business, buddy?
No, you see what Kev was saying, yeah. I was also thinking this for the past week, because I was looking at it like, of course, Liverpool is in the final. I would love that to happen, but then I also thought to myself why don't they take the top 6 sides out of the Carabao Cup? Take them out, like the teams that finished top 6 or the big 6, take them out.
Or anyone with Europe,
Yeah, anyone with Europe, just take them out because I don't see the point of them playing. Because I watched some other League Cup games and I see teams putting performances, and then they go versus Liverpool. Liverpool just being on quality on top of that. So I think the League Cup, I understand if it was the FA Cup, I would agree. Yes, you can play the FA Cup, but in the League Cup, it does not do any great things for us. Okay, we won the trophy because I know that if a team just wins the League Cup, they go to Conference League. Liverpool will never be in a position to go in the Conference League. So there's no point of Liverpool playing this. So that's why me personally, I was going to be more excited if it was Tottenham and Newcastle, teams that never won trophies for a long time, teams that get battered for not winning trophies in a long time, and it will be like a Hunger Games game. It will be a crazy game. Whoever wins gets over the others. Because I know those both teams haven't won trophies in a long time. Liverpool, are on the trajectory of winning trophies in a couple of seasons. It's there's no one who's going to stop us. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but then I look at this I don't think we are actually needed in the League Cup. Maybe for revenue, but then I don't think the League Cup pays much. I'm sure it pays how much.
No, there's not very much prize money at all. I think it's £100,000 if you win it, which is a third of Salah's salary a week. So
you see,
I mean. I think it's good for the youngsters. I like seeing the youngsters play, and then, like I say, like Kev said as well. Once we start getting to the quarters, I'm okay, I actually want to win this now.
Yeah, you always want that, and I think what helps the league as well is that if you do get a Liverpool or a Man City winning it, then it opens up another place further down the league table to get into Europe. I agree with Westo. I'd love to see something like Peterborough or some mad team from the lower, like Atkinson Stanley, winning the cup and playing in Europe the following season. It sounds mad to think, but imagine that. Do you know what I mean? They're playing in the Conference League, and that. It'd be great if we do that. I don't think I agree with West. It'd be great if the top 6 didn't have to play in it. The only downside to that is that there'll be a lot in our league who will be kicking off because it will lessen the opportunity. It means that they have to play a team to win it to get into Europe, where they can just sit back and rest on the laurels because one of the big 6 will win it, and naturally they'll have Europe. So it'll come down to one of us. So we'll just go for the league position. And it's a shame, really. Do you know what I mean? And it dwindles away from what the club was about. Do you know what I mean? And it loses its integrity in certain aspects because it is the usual suspects in the final every year. It's great for us. We're down there for another cup final, but I mean, if it's a shame that you don't see other teams. I've enjoyed the times I've been there. I've been to 8. This will be my 8th. I've been to. I've only missed one since '84, and that was Man City in 2016. I've been to every other League Cup final, and it's been great. I've enjoyed the times against Birmingham, Cardiff as well, going to the Millennium Stadium, beating Old Toilet in 2003 was probably the highlight. It's a great little competition, and that's why it gives me a little bit of a buzz. But at the 3rd or 4th round, I'll be quite happy if we get beat and go home and we forget about it. But the good thing about this, it sets us up for the remainder of the season. Let's hope a lot better than last season where we win it and then we fell apart. But I'm open this season, and it'd be nice for Rio as well to get a little League Cup medal as well in the final. You know what I mean? So
and the likes of James, he can add a second one hopefully to it.
Exactly. Fingers crossed.
I do think we are in a better position, and we were excited about the players coming back after the League Cup final, going, right, we'll kick on now. But they didn't come back the same players as they did. So, like you say, our medical department does look to be a lot better. I was looking at the League Cup history, actually. And by the way, your point on Peterborough, I do not want to see them in the Conference League because I'm getting sick and tired of seeing them get smacked in League One every week this season. So, yeah, Peterborough, perhaps not. We'll as much as Darren might like that old DMAC, he might like the European pennies coming in. But as followers of the club, perhaps let's try to. I'd say push for the playoffs this year, but that's probably long gone. Let's try to stay up and be a respectable table. But I was looking back anyway at the history of the League Cup finals, and you're right, not very many upsets are in there. No. Blackburn in 2002 beating Spurs, of course they did because it's Spurs, 2-1. Middlesbrough beating Bolton in 2004, which is quite cool. A Middlesbrough Bolton final. Which is quite good. But the last big one really was in 2011. That was where Birmingham City beat Arsenal 2-1. So well over a decade since. I suppose you could say 2013. Swansea beat Bradford 5-0, but Swansea I think was in the Premier League then at least. And again, it was Bradford. I'm not no disrespect for Bradford, but it wasn't a massive upset, I don't think, for a final. But then since then, obviously you've got City, Chelsea, Liverpool and United. So since 2013, there are only 4 teams to have won it in 11 years.
Yeah. It's strange though. It's odd. And I think that's where it gets diluted a little bit. And I think a lot of the neutral fans will not be watching it because of that. Because there's no elements of surprise and there's no kind of, wow, 2 dark horses in the final. I look back, I think it was 86 or 87. I think Oxford United won it. They had Ray Houghton and John Aldridge in the team who end up going to Liverpool. It's, Luton win it with Foster and the Steam brothers.
Against Arsenal, yeah.
Yeah. It's those kind of, those kind of games that can,
Wednesday beating United the year after, or 2 years, 3 years after.
Yeah, with Ron Atkinson as the manager. You have all this, and it's a shame you don't see it. And I think it's a shame really. Do you know what I mean? That Tranmere got to the final one year where they end up getting beat by Leicester, and with John Aldridge as the manager. I think that was 93 or 94, I think, or something like that, when Leicester won it with Martin O'Neill as manager. It's it conjures up loads of these games that are very few and far between now, and it gets a little bit. And I think that's why
it just amplifies how much money's in the game, doesn't it? For those top clubs, that's what it amplifies.
It does, and at the end of the day, as quite rightly as we said, the clubs don't need it. You know what I mean? And it takes away and tarnishes that your top 6 sides aren't in it. But why not leave this cup for the Championship down? Do you know what I mean? And give something like that to, there used to be an Anglo-Italian Cup. Make this what that used to be, and let teams in the lower leagues get into Europe in a sense, in that sense. So but the problem is, the argument is that the ruthlessness of the top tiered teams wouldn't allow that. But it's a shame really, because I think you see more interesting games. I'll be honest. That's why I've loved this new format in the Champions League, in the fact that
I do.
In the fact you've got Brest getting in there that no one thought would get in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The top heavy in the league. Do you know what I mean? So it's pleasing on the eye to see Brest in there. So
yeah, they've definitely been on top a few times. So they've done really, really well. I tell you, same as the Champions League. I know we're trying to wind down now, but same as the Champions League, even the playoffs, everyone's like, oh well, all the big teams got through anyway. Well, they did, but You've got
They've got to
Madrid
play each
versus
other.
City. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and in the Champions League, this is why they wanted the format to be to have you play on these games. But I think it's testament that you're not playing the same sides week in, week out, and it goes further than January. It goes further than December, sorry, and you're going into the likes of late January, and then you're fighting for the last 2 games to try and battle out. I know it didn't work out the way UEFA wanted it, but that last day in the next couple of years is going to be frightening. Do you know what I mean? All 18 games played at once. I just think that's
really
amazing.
good.
That, do you know what I mean? So it just shows you. But back to the League Cup, I'd love that to be a similar thing where either the big teams go out, but it's something to look at. Do you know what I mean? But I'm quite happy to be going to Anfield South yet again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scouting the ticket. I think the go out on info goes out
Monday.
Monday, doesn't it? I'll have to be scouting the tickets. Maybe third party, maybe those third party via GoGo sites.
Aye, here we go.
I'll certainly be having a look and see what we
can
do.
Speed dial. Here we go.
Right, thank you all for joining us. On that note, we will definitely end it there. But thank you all for joining us, and a massive thanks to Kevin West for making my job so much easier as well. So thank you all for joining us. There's nearly 5,000 of you now who is on stream. If you haven't already, do give the channel a like and a subscribe. It's a massive gain for Liverpool tomorrow, especially some of those fringe players we've mentioned. Hopefully they can put their place and stake for that first team opportunity in the mist. West, thank you. Kev, thank you. To everyone else, thank you as well. Up the Reds, as always. Take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time.